There is something about arriving in New York at dawn that feels both surreal and grounding. And as the wheels of Taylor's jet touched down just after 5 in the morning, I realized how different this city always feels depending on what you bring back with you. Sometimes triumph, sometimes exhaustion, sometimes, like this time, the bittersweet weight of a loss mixed with the quiet reassurance of love.
The hours before had been a blur. Leaving Sao Paulo under the cover of night, the Chiefs' defeat still lingering in the back of my head like an echo I couldn't shut off. Boarding the sleek Gulfstream where Taylor never once let go of my hand. Where the hum of the engines was softened by her voice when she leaned in close to remind me that one game does not define a season. And one season does not define a man.
She had this calm way of carrying herself, sitting wrapped in a plaid jacket with her hair tucked behind her ear, tapping her fingers against her coffee cup in rhythm with whatever melody lived in her mind, and I found myself watching her more than I stared out the window at the clouds. Somewhere between Brazil and New York, I stopped thinking about dropped passes and defensive breakdowns and started thinking about the fact that she was here, still here, flying across continents just to stand by my side no matter how heavy the scoreboard felt. When we finally landed, stepping off the jet into the cool September air, flashes lit up in the distance even though it was barely dawn, paparazzi already waiting like they had tracked our every mile, and I adjusted the collar of my black suit, knowing the cameras would eat up every detail, while Taylor's plaid jacket caught the dim morning light like it was designed for exactly this moment. We walked side by side across the tarmac, not speaking much because words weren't necessary, her hand brushing mine as though reminding me that silence could be its own kind of comfort, and even as SUVs pulled up and reporters shouted muffled questions from beyond the gates, I felt cocooned, protected by the steady rhythm of her presence. They said we looked calm, maybe even a little worn, and they weren't wrong. Losses take their toll, but behind the surface, I felt that tether between us tightening, reminding me that no matter how brutal the game, the companionship that waited afterward was unshakable. Driving into Manhattan as the city slowly woke up, I thought about how this place had become her second home, how the skyline felt like a backdrop to so many of her songs, and yet also now part of my story too. Tribeca loomed ahead with its familiar cobblestone streets and the quiet elegance of her penthouse, and I couldn't help but picture us inside those walls later, her putting on coffee while I finally let myself collapse on the couch, both of us laughing about something small that would make the weight of the game feel lighter. The truth is, New York doesn't care if you win or lose in Sao Paulo. It only cares about how you carry yourself when you step out of that SUV. And walking into the city with Taylor at my side, I realized that what mattered wasn't what the headlines said about the Chargers game or the Chiefs season, but what her eyes said when she looked at me like I was more than the sum of catches and touchdowns. They call us a power couple, the center of sports and global entertainment. But in that moment, I didn't feel powerful or iconic. I felt human, tired, grateful, and deeply aware that I had someone who steadied me even when the world tried to tilt me off balance. Later, fans would talk about how she never left my side on the flight, how she's become my anchor during this intense NFL stretch, how her presence at games with my family in my world has been proof of a love that's not just public but deeply personal, and all of that is true, but none of it captures the simplicity of what I felt stepping into New York at sunrise with her hand brushing mine, that I was not alone in this, that no man mornings like this one where the city greeted us with open arms and love softened the sharp edges of loss.